Good morning and a very warm welcome to Champéry in Switzerland. We're here in the Palladium de Champéry for the 10th championship here, the Curling Masters, part of the World Curling Tour. It's 1 degree outside in Champéry and it's pretty much the same inside, so it's time for the first group games of this competition. This morning we have for you live coverage of the Group B game as the teams kick off the first end. And this is Team Schnider from CC Schaffhausen. This team actually won the Swiss Cup in Baden recently, so they're a team on form. And Team Schnider this morning are up against Team Schwaller from Bern-Zaringer. Also a team very much on form these last couple of seasons. As we see the two skips in the rings there. So this is the first game in the B group. We have 4 groups of 4 this weekend. 16 teams. 3 games in the group stages. Then a quarter-final tomorrow evening at 7:30 Central European time. And the semi-finals and finals then on Sunday.
Richtig gut. Richtig gut. Oli. 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 Hier kommen.
Also ganz leise.
Oh, den hoch. Okay. Das stimmt ja. Ich glaube schon, ja. Ja. Nein. Frisch. In der Mitte. Die Seite war gestern geräder, als wir gedacht haben. Okay.
Games, of course, here are A10 games.
Ja.
1 extra end will be played. 5 rock rule, of course.
Close. Remmen. Probier. Hard. Sit. Es leidet einfach sehr unschön. Okay. Ja, gerne. Wollen wir nochmal aussen rum? Oder nochmal so? So mal schon.
As we see the skip of CC Schaffhausen, it's Andrin Schnider.
Wird nicht schlecht.
Calling to his second player, Nicolas Stoll.
Die richtig! Whoa, vorne da.
Team Schwaller won the draw shot challenge at the start of the game, so they have the hammer in this first end.
Ja, oder wenn ein aktiver spielt, ist auch gut, aber wenn du so spielst, kannst du mehr Eis geben.
Ich hätte vom Schauen her schon ein bisschen härter gesagt. Achtung! Voraus! In die Welt! Ja. Stell ohne! Was? Stell umstehen! Recht gut, 8-4. Yep.
As we see Team Schwaller playing for the Bern-Zaringer club.
Yep, bis steht, nicht hören, komm.
Marcel Keufeler, Romano Meyer, Michael Brunner and Yannick Schwaller is their lineup this morning.
Tee up! Tee up! Tee up! Tee up! Okay.
So this is the 10th year of the Curling Masters in Champéry. This tournament started in 2011 when one Dorp De Cruz was the first winner of this trophy, beating Tom Brewster in the final back in 2011. And last year, 2019, Jaap van Dorp from the Netherlands was able to beat Thomas Ulsrud in that final. And Jaap van Dorp we will see later on today. I think it's the second game. We will see them in action. Team's just struggling a little bit at the start, getting to pick up the ice. Big curl here in Champéry.
Kann gut sein. Hat nicht aktiv ausgesehen. Nochmal so, 10. Ja, so weiss ich jetzt, wie es läuft.
Geht mehr Fuß.
Ja.
In a moment we'll take a look at the groups playing here this weekend.
Achtung! Whoa, whoa.
As we see a nice controlled takeout, unfortunately just going to slide through the 12 foot there. So here's Group A and B. In Group A we have Edin from Sweden, Hess, Jungen and Hurleyman from Switzerland. In Group B, the game we're featuring right now, Schwaller against Schnider. And we also have Klossner from Lausanne and Heinemann. A lot of Swiss teams here this weekend for obvious reasons. And then Group C and D, who will feature this afternoon. So we have Retornaz from Italy against Totzek from Germany, Magnusson, Sweden, and Hösli from Switzerland. And then the current champion of this tournament, Van Dorp from the Netherlands, Dorp De Cruz in the same group, so that's going to be an interesting game later. Hösli and Maritan also from Switzerland. So the team's just taking their time to get accustomed to the ice surface here. Very nice ice surface this weekend.
Yep. Whoa.
Gut, die Länge. Ich hätte mehr sollen ziehen, ich weiß nicht. Ich habe mich nur verunsichert.
10 oder 9?
Ja, ich war kurz überrascht. Ich
Das ist jetzt mega viel gemacht.
Ich weiß nicht, was
Sind nicht stark
gewesen. Mit dem Stoll irgendwie hat es falsch.
Recht kontrollierbar ausgesehen.
Okay.
Das ist so gut. 10,5. Nein, nicht 10,5. 10. 10, gut.
Mit 11 habe ich das Gefühl. So, ich muss mich durch.
So Michael Brunner and Yannick Schwaller just agreeing on a 10-second takeout here. 10 seconds hog to hog. Important that the player plays the weight requested so that the curl is what the skip expects. 10 seconds is a pretty controlled hit. And very nicely judged and pretty much hidden behind that bunch of guards at the front there. Perfect.
Absolut perfect. Nice.
Yeah. Skipping 3 of Team Bern there. Very pleased with that result because the run back on the yellow is particularly difficult, if not impossible. So that gives already Team Schnider a little bit of a problem in this first end. They don't have hammer, so They'll need to find a way to either open things up or to outdraw the red shot.
Gell, also wenn, dann müsste ich irgendwie so zwei teilen, dass es drinnen
Habe ich das Gefühl. Ja. Kennen wir das da?
Ja, eigentlich schon.
Dann spielen wir da. Ich kann dir Vertrag geben. Wenn du irgendwie Vertrag
And a draw it is. I think it's a good call.
Ja.
Aber jetzt der finde ich, bringt gar nicht, wenn der ganz offen ist. Der können wir, der weiß man, wie es ist. Der muss executed sein. Und schon nicht so schwierig.
Noch nicht drauf gespielt da wahrscheinlich, hä? Da ist wahrscheinlich noch nicht abgespielt.
Ja. Du musst einfach weniger Eisen haben.
Ach cool, ja. Aber weißt du, von der Tendenz her, ich dachte lieber
ja,
so, weil er kann hinten 4 sein.
20% dann gespielt oder so. Und wir machen nicht mehr draus, das ist ein bisschen schade.
Ja. Normal. Ja, der Füchli aktiv. Im Schluss ist er knapp.
So in turn draw for the fourth player here of Team Schaffhausen.
Oli!
Line looks a little bit wide at the moment,
Begin then!
but if they can really scrub that at the end, it should just at least partly hide behind that pack of guards. Very nice weight.
Ja, finde ich gut.
And now we see it, it's maybe half open. So Yannick Schwaller will play a board weight, as we hear there.
Ja.
Just enough weight for the shooting stone to reach the board and just chip that yellow out. And ideally, with hammer, he would like to roll away from the blue circle. Put a little pressure on Team Schnider in this first end. So player and sweepers just confirming the weight, board weight, as we see Yannick Schwaller throw an in turn, chip on this yellow. The line also just a little bit wide, nicely removed, unfortunately just rolled out of play, so takes the pressure off Schnider a little bit. He can play their team can play exactly the same shot again this time.
Meine ihr? 70 schon, so 80 oder? Eben kann er hinten 4 sein, hauptsächlich versteckt. Klicken.
Andrew and Schnider just indicating he gave that a little bit more than he wanted to. Maybe just a little bit on the wider side as well. Long way to curl at the moment. And as he said himself, he just gave it a little bit extra when he let go, so it's probably just going to slip through shot position. It's pretty close. I think it is red though. So open draw for 2, I think, for Team Schwaller.
Ah, sorry. Ja, voll. Ich habe etwa das da gehabt. Ja. Und am Schluss sind wir hier gelegen, das ist super.
And Yannick electing to play the out turn. Open draw to the 8 foot for his 2 points in this first end.
Ich hätte so gesagt, ja, Meter härter wie LSD, oder? Ja. Also wenn ich nativ Freestyle LSD, würde mir gut sein.
Hä? Ja. Wieso hast du nicht?
So last rock first end, Yannick Schwaller with an open draw for 2.
Komm kurz.
Schön euch!
Thrower indicating just a little bit shorter maybe than he wanted to. Line looks perfect.
13-1. Brooms down, brooms down. It's good, it's good.
Very nicely into the 4-foot. Good start for Team Schwaller. 2 points in the first. They lead 2-0.
Deutlich härter.
Okay.
Ich schnell, also mehr wie Meter härter. Ich habe schnell gespielt, aber er hat sich dann noch fein angefühlt. Gut so. Weißt du, was wir abgemacht haben?
Ja, spielen wir auch ein bisschen besser.
Aber jetzt hat er dann noch härter angefühlt, als wir abgemacht haben.
The teams between the ends just having a little chat about what they've just seen and making sure everyone's on the same page and discussing ice, curl, the speed of the ice, which can change quite dramatically in this first 2 or 3 ends. Making sure that everybody's up to speed with different details about the ice and then normally the plan for the next end. So Schnider now has the hammer, he's 2 down, he's probably going to be pushing to get 2 straight back. Schwaller meanwhile would like to see him score just the 1 point. Get the hammer back in the third end for him and continue to lead the game. So Team Schwaller starting here in the second end. If you've just joined us, we're live from the Palladium de Champéry in Switzerland. My name is Brian Gray and we are picking up live stream of the first Group B game as we see Marcel Keufeler, the lead player of Team Bern Zeringer.
Ich kann recht gut übergelt leicht.
And a shout out to everybody from the World Curling Tour who's made this event happen this weekend. Situation of course not so easy, so hats off to everyone, volunteers, Icemen, WCT, people who've worked so hard to make this event happen. Alongside me to the left is Martin Stucki, who's single-handedly controlling the video that you see, the video and the sound. I'm just very pleased to see this tournament start so well with 16 teams and good ice conditions here. And good to see some teams have been able to travel from abroad. So Team Sweden, Niklas Edin is here. He's on the ice right now. On the next sheet to the feature game. And we have Van Dorp from the Netherlands, as we said before, and Joel Retornaz is here from Italy, to name but 3. All experienced teams.
Ganz klar, Michi.
Wir sind fast
Wir müssen 12. Wir müssen 12. Das ist nicht 12. Schon gut. Hey, jetzt ist gut gesehen, spät gesagt wegen schon gut.
Wollen wir sie nochmal spielen?
Ja.
Der erste, kann es sein, dass der mehr gehört?
Gib ein bisschen mehr.
Ja, kannst du noch ein
As we see Andren Schnider, the skip of Team Schaffhausen. He's got the hammer now, so he's going to try and use that yellow guard on the left of the picture. Draw around there into the 12-foot circle and try and set up a chance of 2 points. As we see Fabian Schmidt, the lead player of Team Schaffhausen. While Stoll and Widmer are busy trying to bring that rock over the hog line.
Mein, die Seite ist zu jetzt. Ich finde das sehr gut. Ich bin immer da.
Ja. Die übergehen oft, gell, wenn die Seite finde ich ganz okay.
So we had an interesting incident last night in the curling hall here. Something that I've never seen in 30 plus years of curling. After a normal takeout was played on sheet A, one of the rocks split in half pretty much. Gave the director of the tournament something to think about. And quickly another rock was found, and some of these rocks are brand new, pretty much out of the box. They're actually the rocks from the Youth Olympics, which was staged here in Champéry in January this year. And during that event there was 4 sheets of ice, so there was actually 2 sets which were unused. And that rock which split in half was actually from one of those sets, so hopefully that's the last drama of the weekend. As we see Nicola Stoll, second player for Schaffhausen, trying to remove this red and
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hack! Skate shoulder! Wenn du hängst. Ah, knapp. Wenn du hängst und mit Rolle in die Mitte sind wir auch gut. Schönes Heck, ich habe das Gefühl, läuft nicht mega schlecht.
Team Schwaller now trying an outturn. Little tap on this yellow. Hack weight is called. Even slightly less, so they're going to just work a little bit hard to get this past this guard. If it's a little bit lighter than it should have been, and there's the result, just over curling a spot. What's not a disaster for Team Schwaller is that rocks ended up nicely on the center line, so that's actually quite useful for them. They can use that for cover later in this end if necessary. Possibly steal another point.
Sag 11!
Ja, vielleicht gegen 8.
Ja, aber man muss auch genau so liegen.
Jetzt ist klar wenigstens wieder auf. Aber wenn er nicht steht, ist scheiße jetzt hinten dran.
Diab! Wow!
12. Oh, die ist langsam, gell?
Diab! 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 Diab, weiter! Weiter! Wow, ja, weiter! Nehmen du.
That's a very nice looking stone there from Schaffhausen. They spoke about playing a back 8 weight, maybe just a little bit more, and it's just perfectly ducked behind those 2 red guards up front, so good situation at the moment. As we see just how close it was to that center guard. And now the little roll to the left as we look, making it almost impossible to remove. They'll be really pleased with that. So there's a flat double there. Team Schwaller going to try and hit about 3/4 of that first yellow. Bounce over and he's for a piece, so he's over curled. He's got it. Would have liked to hit a good bit more of that yellow and possibly roll over and kick that other yellow that's on top of the button there. Maybe kick it over a meter or so. So Team Schnider looking good to get 2 right back here. So now they're going to stay well away from that yellow. They're going to try and be in the ring somewhere without leaving any easy double takeout. So they're going to play an in-turn draw to the open side of the rings. Oliver Widmer, number 3 for Team Schaffhausen, with his first rock of the second end.
Okay, then good.
Just a little bit up on speed apparently, so they're just going to wait for this to slow right down. Wants to be somewhere in the rings, wouldn't want to go right through here. And it's very close. A little bit disappointing for him. Just takes the pressure a little bit off Team Schwaller. If Schnider could have just popped a yellow somewhere on the red circle over on the left there, would have just built the pressure a little bit up. Team Schwaller without the hammer then facing 2 rocks. As it is, the pressure has almost completely dropped away. They can just come in and play maybe a freeze on top of this yellow or a little tap. Set up the possibility of a steal. Michael Brunner, number 3 for Team Berns-Ediger.
Ja, ich denke 70 ist schon Natur-Zeit ein.
Ein bisschen aktiv, ganz okay.
Nur Länge! Nur Länge ist weit! Linie gut!
Bis vorne, Jungs!
Yep.
They want to get as close to this yellow as possible without actually bouncing open.
Hard! Hard! Come on, hard!
Very nice result.
Good job. Quick say, Jungs. Nice.
And that sets up a chance of a steal for Team Schwaller. They can use that red later
Oder so!
to bump the yellow out. And
Da!
so Team Schnider now need to find a way to get to the inside of that red.
Oh, Edin liegt da geil.
Take the angles away, just over curl that red, draw a little bit to the left side. Maybe bump it back a rock width. So this is a key shot to this second end. Needs to find his weight a little bit better than he did on his first one.
Hätte man nur müssen abgehen. Richtig gut! Vor 8! Nur Länge!
So they're calling top 8, so
Wo ist er?
Stoll!
that sounds good. You certainly don't want to be heavy here.
Stoll, wenn es geht, aber nur wenn es geht.
And it's a very nice looking shot. Just wants to curl over the... That's a really perfect result, yeah. Would like to curl maybe 1 centimetre more. But he's given himself now a really good chance to pick up more than 1 point here. So there's the task that faces Yannick Schwaller. Wants to try and chip that yellow, or maybe just freeze against it. Yeah, from the ice he's given, it looks like just a freeze or a slight tap. He would love to lie shot after this, but it's not really the priority. The priority is to get in there close to that yellow to make sure that it's extremely hard for yellow to score more than 1 point. Just asking for the edge of the 8 foot.
Ja.
So Yannick Schwaller, his first rock of this second end, leading by 2. Either a freeze or a really small tap on this yellow. Not a lot of room for error here. Can't touch the guard. Can't bounce open, so it's pretty precise shot required. And he's managed to get that just out of shot position, so he'll be really pleased with that. He played it a good bit faster than I thought he was going to. So right now the result's pretty good for Team Schwaller. But if Team Schnider can ever find a way to get that yellow, to get that red out of there, that would be their roadmap to scoring 2 or 3 in this end. The problem is they just can't get to nose. The red guard's extremely long, but they just can't quite get to the nose of that yellow to push the red back. And that's why they're looking at this alternative variation here. Red on yellow on red. A little bit adventurous, but unfortunately the angles are just not there, I think, for anything else, so they're kind of forced into the shot. If you could hit about 3/4 of this red rock, come down, push it on top of the yellow, remove the red counter that's in the blue circle, The question will also be where the red guard that's being hit, where that ends up. Could remove everything here.
Hast du das Gefühl? Noch ein bisschen. Weil der Shooter bleibt ja auch noch. Also der Shooter.
4-5. Wow, 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 wow. Wow.
As we see, Andron Schnider, skip and fourth player of this team. And that's just under curled for him. He wanted to catch probably 3/4 of that red. He just caught less than a quarter. So the momentum's changed here now. Hard to see how Team Schnider could ever score 2 from this situation at the moment. And the key for Team Schwaller is not to create a double here, because right now I don't really see any way that Team Schnider could score more than a point. So Yannick would like to come down, probably angle freeze the yellow. Just needs to make sure he doesn't roll open and somehow leave a double 4-3. That has to be his #1 priority. The question is ever if Yannick could come down somehow and push that yellow that we see onto the red. That red guard's fairly far out, so there's a bit of space. So Yannick Schwaller with his last rock of the second end, looking to get close to this yellow in the 8-foot, or maybe just a close guard. Yep, just a close guard.
Wir könnten genau hinten dran. Da würden wir beide zutun.
Römer immer noch. Yep. Yep. Alright.
Good.
Well, that certainly takes away the in-turn chip on that yellow, so I think we're going to see Schnider pretty much forced to draw the 4-foot for his 1 point.
Ja, das kann ja.
Weg der Hüfte, geht's? Hatte ich schon ein paar Mal gesehen, um das Gesicht zu ziehen. So.
Vielleicht gerade so den Teppich machen. Das ist mehr, du musst mehr als ganz rundum, oder?
Ah, easy.
Du musst noch
Das bringt nichts für sich, etwas, was sich nicht Prozess
Frustrating for Schnider. You can see that there was a real chance of 2 or 3 here, but he's got to be realistic and not lose touch in these early ends. Draw the 4-foot, take 1, and move on into the next.
Ich glaube nicht, dass geht. Beide schräg bleiben. Ich glaube nicht, dass
He's going to pretty much have to touch the 1-foot circle to outcount that red. But this is the skip bread and butter shot, so we'd expect him to make this.
Ich habe mir das schon überlegt, da kann man ja nur Backline noch.
Ja, voll.
Ja, zu ihnen gesagt, nur vom Dolly wegdrücken.
Andron Schnider, last stone of the second, drawing against 1.
Sehr gut.
So the line seems to be perfect. It's all about the sweeping now.
Linie ist super.
It's a hair on the short side, but looking rather nice.
Genau da. Ja. Zieh hard.
Gotta go, guys. Just like that. Stop a little bit short. Really nice try. Maybe a slight sweeping error there. Unfortunate for Team Schnider. That allows Schwaller to jump into a 3-point lead. So Yannick Schwaller and Team Bern will be very happy with how the first 2 ends have gone. Schnider and co need to regroup after that end. There were certainly chances there for a couple. Certainly the draw that went through the back there when they were lying 1 already, that was certainly a turning point in that end. Team Schnider could have been lying 2 and had a nice chance to score 2 or 3. That took the pressure off Schwaller a bit, and Schwaller immediately responded with a very nice shot into the 4-foot, and that basically turned the whole end around, so need to keep communicating about the weight. Need to find some better draw weight. As Andron hangs up the one, 3-0 after 2.
Okay. Eén nog. Echt doen maken.
Vol 4.
Zullen kom hier.
As we see Romano Meyer and Michael Brunner
Goed, I got it.
give this rock a little scrub into the top of the forefoot. Pretty good.
Goed, dan loop ik cello. Ik ga naar hinten daar.
Team Schwaller with last stone, without last stone, just happy to keep play in the center. While Team Schaffhausen here trying to pull play to the right of the screen as we look. Starting with a nice long guard from lead player Fabian Schmid. Nicely done.
Is nummer 1 zo mee, Kerl, dacht.
Beide, glaube ich.
So of course with the 5 rock rule, Team Schwaller's not allowed to remove that yellow. They would love to remove it because they're winning by 3, so they would like to just keep everything wide open. But they're forced to throw another rock into the center. This one's just a little bit wider than the first, and by sweeping it at the end here, they'll bring it back towards the center line, so every millimeter counts here.
Nice scrub.
Not too bad, it is open. Has to be considered a half miss there, and now Schnider indicating push that red back and possibly roll to the right as we look. Priority number 1, get that red off the front of the forefoot circle there. So it's going to be an out turn chip, maybe back 8 length, something like that. Push that red back.
Achtung! Wow! Tia! Tia! Wow!
Tia hard!
Nu lengi!
Tia!
Tia!
Just a little bit softer than they probably wanted, I think, and that's why it's just over curled a hair.
Okay.
Probably would have liked to have seen 2 meters more running on that yellow. Hit the red pretty much on the nose and push it back. Not a bad result. They've got the hammer, so it's 1 rock in the rings behind guards. That's always good.
Ja, voll. Also du meinst so, also.
Alder!
Klar.
And now we see Team Bern trying to follow this red in. Possibly tap it a little bit. Also just over curling a hair. It's going to catch the front guard. Not a bad result, but both teams there just getting a little bit more curl for their liking. And now Schnider indicating possibly the double red. Take out. So they've changed to a controlled weight chip on that front red on the center line and possibly roll to pretty much where his broom is now. Get 1 more yellow in the rings. Extremely important for Schnider that they score here. They can't allow any more stolen rocks, so at some point they're going to have to get that red out of the top of the forefoot there. Just overthrew that one. It was 10 seconds. I think it was more a board that was asked for.
Ist ganz 12, ein klein versteckt ist sehr gut, Freeze ist perfekt. Dus gleich eingeben wie vorhin.
Yannick just indicating to just hide a little bit behind that red guard. Tuck up against the yellow.
Schon dran.
Wow, wow.
Alter!
Yep.
Nice and gut, 12, 8.
Wow.
Dran!
Wow. Close up. Wow.
Mit kleinen dran! Bounce it!
Nein, wenn Bounce ist nicht gut.
This is looking real good. Doesn't need to bounce off the yellow. Just a hair long. Would like to have nestled against that yellow. But the difference is huge. Now Schnider can remove this red. Don't think he can remove both, but he can remove one.
10! Willst du 10? Okay.
So Andron asking for a 10-second hit. Remove the back red. Possibly roll away somewhere in the rings, and it's just a little bit high. 9.5 seconds indicated by the throwers, or the sweepers.
Hard!
That's a very nice result. Yellow now in shot position, but more importantly they have two in the ring, so pressure mounting a little bit for Team Schwaller. Need to make sure if they place a guard here that it's perfect line, as we see a very nice little roll behind that corner red guard there.
Ja. Ga voor Anfang aan denken, deze nut is echt onderweg.
So Yannick looks to be running, lining up the run back. Red onto yellow, yellow.
Close, whoa. Nee, nee, nee.
Yep!
Nee!
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Good.
And that's a great shot. He's going to be real happy with that one.
Ja.
Removes both yellows.
Gib dir eine Sekunde mehr Zeit im Neck. Ja, steht die wirklich drauf.
11!
Es macht es dir einfacher und mir auch.
His shooter has stayed, so there's still a guard there, which is the one good news for Team Schnider here. They can still use that guard up front on the left as their path to setting up a 2. But first and foremost they have to remove this red, so they're going to come down with controlled weight, remove that red and possibly roll half a meter to the left as we look there.
Ja.
Seems to be a little bit close to the nose.
Okay. 2 Drittel!
Sport!
Not bad.
Sexy, oder?
Auf dem Schluss
Ja.
Pretty good result, but Schwaller can see that, so controlled weight, catch half, 2/3 of the yellow.
Sicher jetzt 10,5. Selber gestoppt.
Yep, yep!
Yep, go cello.
Yep! Tia! Hoi! Whoa! Yep! Turn me good. Sag stark.
Nice drop cello. No, so!
So Mikhail Brunner with a very nice controlled removal of that yellow. And now it's time for Schnider. He's really got to get the contact here correct and get behind one of those guards. It's the only way he's going to get 2. And he kind of needs 2 at 3-0 down in this third end. It's time for a move from the young Schaffhausen team.
Shooter.
Unfortunately, just getting the sweeping call slightly wrong there.
11-3.
Ist der Call so, hä? Ja.
Hij is geen
Aber
normale
wie
klas,
ist
hoor.
Fahrt gut?
Ja, een normale
Willst
gespeeld.
du 9 spielen? Kann man gut von mir aus. Das fast.
They have a pretty good setup here, Team Schnider, but they just haven't been able to capitalize on those 2 guards.
So, bitte. Bin ich nicht klein weniger Kast? So, ja. Für den Roll, oder?
Will be interesting to see where Yannick Schwaller wants to roll here, because wherever he rolls, he's leaving a draw around the other guard for the other team. So this will be interesting to see where he finishes here. He did indicate he wanted a roll. And there we are. So he's gone that way, which basically leaves a draw around the red guard, or possibly around the yellow guard behind that red. Question of taste, what you prefer. That position there would be nice. That's an interesting call.
Hätte ihr ihn gesehen? Der Gelb.
Hast du ihn erst gesehen?
Wir gehen hinter der Gelb.
Nachher gestohlen.
Ja. Gerl hat schon recht fest.
So Andren Schnider looking to come through between the yellow and the red there. Into the 8-foot circle.
Meinst du wirklich über Gerl?
And I think he's just having a little bit of doubt about this call. Wondering if that's the right way.
Ja, das können wir auch machen. Und dann gehen wir auf den 4. nochmal drauf. Okay. Komm nochmal durch.
So Andren's going to come down and have another look at this. He basically wants to get in the 8-foot circle on the right side as we look, and his plan was to go between the red and the yellow. Now he's looking to remove it, the red. The one advantage of removing the red is that the blank end is still possible. If he chose to just draw into the 8-foot, then almost certainly someone would score. This way he can leave the option of a blank end, which is not really what he wants, but it's better than being forced to score one. So Andren with his first stone off this third end. Playing a very nice controlled weight. Removing the red and hoping just to sit, and that's a perfect 100 hit and roll from Andren there, so great effort from him. Gives him a slight chance of 2. Wherever Yannick throws now, Andren can probably follow him down and chip for 2 points, as we see his first stone here just curling at the end nicely, over curling the red rock and pretty much fully buried behind that guard. So very, very nice. So first and foremost, Yannick needs to get directly behind this red guard. Ideally, he would like to be front 8, fully behind this red guard on the left as he looks. Priority 1 is to be shot, priority 2 is to be fully hidden, and priority 3 is to be as far in the front ring as possible while still being shot. So lots of things to think about here, but number 1, he has to be fully buried. Really sweeping hard at the end, trying to finish this red off. Pretty good attempt.
Ja,
Is it
probier
good
mal
enough?
sicher, oder?
Ein 5 tut er schon.
Ja, ich will sehen.
Is it good enough? The camera angle sometimes
Ja,
changes a little bit the actual difficulty of the shot. I would suggest you can see a quarter of that, so probably backline weight or back 12.
Yep.
Try and catch as much as possible. Obviously, maybe half would be a dream, and then you'd get your 2 points.
Nein.
Ja, wir haben
Just a little bit more sweeping from Team Schwaller there. They would have perfectly hidden that red, and this shot wouldn't have been possible. But now there's a pretty reasonable chance for
Gib
2.
noch ein bisschen.
At this level, you
Fast
kind of have to
ganz,
make
ja.
these.
Fast ganz rausnehmen, ja. Ja, Heck, ich will sehen. Haben wir auch gesagt. Was muss ich spielen? 70? 60?
So trying to throw 3.6 or 3.7, which is probably back 8, back 12.
Wenig.
Sweeper called immediately a little bit slow, so this will curl more than they want. And he just does not want to be on this front guard. He's going to be really disappointed with that. That's a swing of 3 points. And it's one more stolen point for Team Schwaller.
Sorry.
Just a little bit
Hast du gesagt, ich sage lang?
underthrown there from the skipper.
Ich habe gemeint, das heißt, ich sage lang.
Immediately took off on him, curled more than he wanted.
Ich hätte noch ein bisschen aktiv gespielt. Ah, schade. Aber er ist ein bisschen lang gewesen, nicht?
Hindsight is 2020, but maybe the better way to have thrown that would have been to be a little bit on the white side and chip the red out and get at least 1. Because 4-0 doesn't really reflect
Ja.
the two teams, but that's where we are. So Schnider's going to have his work cut out to get back into this game. And as I said earlier on in the end, the one thing that mustn't happen was another steal, and that's unfortunately what has happened. And Schwaller now racing into a 4-0 lead after 3 ends. If you've just joined us, we are live from Champéry in Switzerland. We're at the Palladium de Champéry. This is the 10th year of the Curling Masters Champéry World Curling Tour event. Find out all the details on the website www.worldcurlingtour.org. Also on Facebook and Instagram. Check us out there. Information about the teams and the tour itself. There is a men's tour, a women's tour, mixed doubles of course now.
Ich habe das Gefühl, er sieht immer schneller aus und dann kommt er runter. Ja. Und das ist halt auch eine gerade Seite, aber wenn er auf eine gönnende Seite kommt, ist er anfälliger, glaube ich.
We have 3 games for you today. In the commentary box today is Brian Gray, and later Lorna Rettig, one of England's finest curlers, will join us for the second game, which is at 12:30 Central European time. That's 2.5 hours from now, so almost back-to-back curling. And the third game this afternoon with Lorna will be at 4 p.m. all-time Central European time.
Michi! Ich. Ganz acht, ist gut hier. Schau, dass wir nicht sterben. Schau, dass wir nicht sterben über das Center. Achtung. Eigentlich gut. All there. Komm noch ein bisschen. Kannst du ein bisschen? Sehr gut. Real nice. Gut gesehen. Ja, ist gut. 13,6.
The game at 12:30 today will be Van Dorp against De Cruz, so Netherlands against Switzerland. Promises to be a cracker. Those teams are both favourites to win this event. And then at 4 p.m, one of the most successful, if not the most successful team from the last few years, Nicholas Edin of Sweden, coming up against Jungen from Switzerland. That's at 4 p.m. today. So stay tuned, lots of curling coming your way. 3 games today, we have 3 games tomorrow and 2 games on Sunday, so plenty of curling coming up.
Sorry, ich habe nicht beim Schnider irgendwie gemeint, ich sage lang, oder eben, ich habe gemeint, der Oli hat gesagt, sonst hätten sie schon noch ein bisschen gegeben. Ich habe gemeint, dass ich ein bisschen...
So eher einseitig müssen wir schon noch ein bisschen gehen.
Ja.
Da habe ich gesehen, dass du nichts gemacht hast, ich von einfach
Voll.
mal wüsste und schauen.
Sonst wäre ich glaube schon gekommen.
2!
Sobald es spitz geht, ist schon gut.
Ja.
Immer Michi. Immer Michi. Oh, bitte drüben. Wir können zu viel.
Oh, warte.
Wow, Lannen. Lannen.
Sauber. Goed zo.
And of course, as always on the World Curling Tour, we have a live chat. You can post your comments there. YouTube.com, it's the WCT Space TV channel. Drop us a message. Nice to see some of your messages this morning. Thanks for tuning in. As we once again see Team Schwaller really applying the pressure now to this young Schaffhausen team.
Whoa. Whoa.
Time for some clearance work.
Diep. Diep. Whoa, whoa.
And that's a beautiful shot there. Removes all 3 reds from play. Takes the pressure off his team a little bit, and more importantly, sets up a chance for scoring more than a point now. With all those guards out the front. Here we see it again. Lovely in-turn hit. Perfectly judged. And all those yellows out front are surely helping the team who are 4-0 down. Team Schaffhausen.
Licht. Oh. Ganz acht.
Linie gut, ja. Ja.
Leg is goed. Midden. Yep.
Nur noch Länge.
Keep going.
Yep, muss.
Come on.
As we see Keufler and Bruno really dragging this red into the fully hidden position behind that yellow guard.
Was ist los? Was hast du gemacht?
And this is definitely the right call. Schnider needs to stop the rot here. Remove this yellow guard, possibly tick the back red as you go. Give him a little bit of space to score 1 or 2.
Okay, nu is goed.
So 9-second hit on the in-turn. Would love the yellow that he hits to remove the red and roll behind either of the yellow guards. That would be his dream result.
Whoa. Achtung. Whoa. Okay.
Gute Länge. Nu nice.
Not a disaster.
Lieber eingeslided.
Opens things up. He's still got 3 guards in play, so plenty of opportunities for
Ja. Ich finde es einfach easy. Also, kann viel besser
Andrew's team to
passieren.
pick up that 2 that he needs to get back in this game. Yannick with some thinking to do here. He's it's not so easy to guard when you're 4 up. Thinking about maybe moving the red a little bit. At 4-4 the guard would certainly be the call, but at 4-0 I think it's a little bit too aggressive.
Max 2. Ja, das stimmt. Was passiert,
He reckons if we remove one guard now, he's going to make 2. So he thinks he has to do something with this red.
Also ich finde das am ehesten der Call, oder? Der finde ich auch okay, aber ich finde das. Mensch, einfach hinter drin.
It's a tricky one.
Nose tap call. Finde ich eigentlich gut, ja.
Even a nose tap's not going to get him out of all the trouble.
Ja.
Potentially, Team Schnider could remove the reds and roll behind the corner guard and still get 2 or 3. So, not an easy situation actually for Schwaller, even though he's 4 points up. He needs to be a little bit careful here.
Momentan kommt sie entgegen. Momentan kommt sie mir entgegen.
These teams know each other really well, of course, so nice to see a little bit of banter there between the skips. I think we're all just pleased to see some normality, some curling in these difficult times. As we see
Ich kann so Zeug nicht sagen, ich kann es mitkommen.
Ich kann lang. Wow, schau nicht drauf. Besser. Ist gut, Achtung, Jungen.
third player Michael Brunner trying to tap his own red back just maybe half a meter.
Remmen durch, remmen durch. Halt. Oh, okay.
It's not good and it's not bad, it's just okay. Now Team Schnider have 3 chances. They would love to roll behind one of those corner guards and give themselves a chance of 2.
Wie hat da noch einen geschrieben?
Ja, indem es der andere mit seinem letzten eigentlich rausgenommen hat. Und ihm einen Tap auf der letzte schön.
So Oliver Widmer, number 3, Team Schaffhausen, being asked to remove one of these red rocks. Possibly both, but the most important thing I think is the yellow has to end up behind one of those guards. Let's see what he does. That's very nice. Again, very well judged. Some positive signs from this young team. That's a very good result. That gives Schwaller something to think about now. It didn't really matter what he did in his last shot. He was always going to have the chance that Team Schnider dropped behind one of these corner guards. So he won't be too surprised, but nonetheless, it's perfect positioning from the young team there. That yellow rock is landed really nicely behind this corner guard. And now Michael's going to try the run back. Yellow, yellow. Sounds very good. Perfect. Very nice. Really important to get an edge of that yellow. And now Team Schnider with a little bit of a chance now to, there we see the double takeout, just getting an edge of that yellow. Half a millimeter less on that front one and he wasn't touching the yellow at all, so great result for him. As we see Team Schnider now with attempt 2 out of 3 to get round some of these corner guards. If they can hide fully, looks a little bit short to me. Gonna have to really go. Okay, that's pretty good there. As they just mentioned, just over curling a hair. They're not shot position, but that doesn't really matter too much. It would have been nice to be shot, but more important is to be hidden. And again, never easy. Schwaller 4 up here, but torn between different options. He doesn't want to go near that yellow, I think, because he'll leave possibly the double on the red.
Nicht gut und der kommt wieder auf die Nase oder so.
I think that's the better call. Do something with that red again, but whatever he does, he potentially leaves Schnider a double takeout to then have the chance of 2 or even 3 points.
Ja, sofern er ja, voll. Ja. Da, und wenn wir tiefer sind, können wir gleich da. Ja.
A little bit surprised he's going in there.
Er hat das gehabt, ja.
If he goes level with the yellow, then it's perfect, but if he goes half a rock behind the yellow, he's leaving a pretty straightforward double on the reds.
Der erste war auch schön gewesen.
Weißt du, man muss sich irgendwie noch bewegen zuerst in der Mitte, haben wir das Gefühl.
Other option here would be just to draw the open side where his broom is and basically lie 2, but that's dangerous as well because even if Schnider didn't make the double, he could still have a chance of 3. So all options here have some level of danger associated with them. The ideal spot here would be level with the yellow, frozen against the yellow. And as you can see, still discussing the different options. And I don't blame them because this is this can go wrong quickly. Suddenly from a relatively harmless position you lose a 3. Back to the guard option now.
Ja.
Länge spatzig halt.
Ja, gut, dann sind wir da auch gut.
Dann ist wieder auf Freezer.
Das ist mein Gedanke. Also
I'm really not a fan of the in-turn draw.
hier ganz spatzig.
Aber der Freezer zuerst mal und dann spielen wir gegen Pressure. Ich finde Guard besser.
Okay.
Ja.
Ja.
Some good mature decision making there, like it.
Andere könntest liegen.
Ja, ich will plus minus näher an.
Das Götter.
Discuss the option of a very close guard, so just half a rock short of the rings, right in front of the red.
Mitte 3 bis näher.
Michi, wichtig ist wirklich straight up Guard. Ja.
The advantage of that is if Andren plays the red guard, he's not in the rings, and if he's not in the rings, he cannot score 3.
Konventionell, aber das können wir mal probieren.
So wise change of mind, I would say. I think this is a much better call. Nice and close to the rings. Boys having a bit of a joke there, as we see Yannick Schwaller playing his first rock of this 4th end.
Sind ja bei weitem nicht durchgewischt.
Romano Meyer really giving this one a scrub. Looks to be over curling a hair.
Never set.
Ooh. Well, it's only a quarter of a rock over curled, but it's a big difference. If Andren can come down now with a very controlled weight, chip the red and roll left behind one of those 2 guards, then he has a real chance of scoring 3 here.
Das schon.
Also muss man aktiv spielen. So. Oder muss ich weiter leiten kontrollieren? Gut. Welcher Gefühl hast du nicht soft? Soft ist nicht.
Nein, soft ist er nicht gewesen. Er ist zu soft für das, für so wie es leider.
I think for Schwaller the call was right, but just the execution maybe a little bit overswept or maybe needed a little bit more ice. But it's just over curled a hair and it's left the door open now for Andren Schnider to tap that red out, or at least push it back to the back of the 8 foot so that the yellow on the right becomes into play. So Andren Schnider with his first rock of this 4th end needs to start making 1 or 2 of these. He missed one of these at the last end, which cost him quite dearly. Would love to make this one and roll behind that corner. Again, seems to be very close. Yep, just going to rub off that guard. At least he's opened it up this time. But it's a missed opportunity for sure. Leave Schwaller with the same decision as he had before.
Ich glaube, es war einfach ein bisschen soft gewesen.
And as the Schaffhausen team just indicating there, a little bit soft release from the skipper. Both times, I think. Last end as well, over curled on him, and there as well. Just needs to make a little bit more of a positive release.
Gestern war es noch nicht so schlimm.
Nice and clean release, but
keine Chance haben wegen dem.
big curl here in Champéry, so you need to be a little bit on the positive side when you let the rock go. Shouldn't sort of flop inside you, it should be nice and positively on the line or even a hair outside. And now Yannick's going to try to replace the guard, but this time he must not show anything. He wants to be exactly in line with that red, on the center line, not in the rings. As they say, never give the other team the same shot twice, so I'd expect he makes this perfectly. Looks to be a hair on the long side, which means it might just drift into the rings. And it is in the rings. Very good. I thought he might have done that with his first one. That takes the 2 away. Perfect result.
Oder weiss ich, was meinst du? Jetzt habe ich es gemerkt, der lief der softe Seite. Ich muss noch ein bisschen aktiver spielen. Es ist einfach so eine Kombination. Es ist schon ein bisschen das, was im Slam extremer ist. Das ist viel extremer. Jetzt bist du raus. Ich muss einfach schauen, dass sie ein bisschen aktiver spielen. Merci, Boys. Gut gesehen. Gut gesehen. Ein bisschen viel Einfluss. Gut. Ich kann nicht sehen, laufen. Im Inneren.
Lecker.
Schon etwas Schönes.
So Andrin electing to play the drop, so he's going to overcurl that red on the center line, come into the blue circle, possibly nest against the red stone at the back there and take his 1 point. Okay. So last stone of the fourth end. Andrin Schnider with not the easiest draw for one. Needs to overcurl this red first. Line look a little bit on the wide side, needs to curl. Now it sounds perfect. Just need to make sure you're in the blue circle, and that's very well executed. Very nice shot. Finally on the scoreboard, I think they've deserved more, but unfortunately for them, they've had a little bit of a rough first 3 ends, but now on the scoreboard for the first time, Team Schnider trailing Team Schwaller by 4-1 after 4 ends.
Poor finish, huh? Ja, wenn ich die Länge hätte, dann habe ich eigentlich keine Angst gehabt.
Also aber wenn das ein bisschen länger ist und du noch im Curling bist, das wird sich das auch nicht.
Ja, Länge haben wir easy im Griff. Draws. Ja. Double guard. 1-3. Ja.
So the young Schaffhausen team just discussing their plan for this end. They know that now that they need to make as much aggressive play as possible. 2 or 3 guards in play, so they've just discussed whether they're going to play a double center guard. Try and build up as much cover as possible in front of the circles, knowing full well that Team Schwaller will be very happy to remove everything and anything. So Fabian Schmidt, first stone of this 5th end, looking for a nice long center guard.
Nehmen wir 3. Immer Stoll. Stoll bis 3. Ist sehr weit draussen.
Okay, they're going to, because the line's a little bit out, they're going to bring it all the way to the closer of the 2 guard position. So they're now really sweeping hard to try and get this yellow on the center line. Not bad. If you're playing the double center guard, the last thing you want is the first guard sort of on the midway spot. You want the first guard to be either a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, so that the second guard in play can be 2 or 3 meters away from the first. It's not perfect by any means, but it's useful. So Yannick here calling the soft peel, coming down something like soft hack, touching a quarter of the yellow and rolling into the rings would be his ideal result. as we see Marcel Keufler, lead player for Team Berns Edin.
Komm, Migo, ist eine Chance. Wenn er gestreift, oder?
Ja. Ist alright, ist alright.
Gut gespielt.
Ja.
Wir sind noch berührt.
Not quite what they wanted, but they'll be pretty happy with that.
Was sagst du?
Das ist schade. Das ist eine arschkalte Halle, nicht?
Ja, ich weiß das Gefühl. Richtig gut!
So now Andren asking for a second centre guard, but this time needs to be much longer. Near the hog line. They're going to have to go. Really going to have to go. What's nice about that, neither rock's on the centre line, but they are pretty much in line, so when the double finally comes, there's a chance that the shooter will hang around. Team Schwaller opting to go in now. Put a little bit of pressure on. They would like probably top 8 foot here. They have the hammer, so they wouldn't like to be on the button. Top 8 behind these guards. Make it harder for Team Schaffhausen to get into the 4 foot circle. This one's curling a lot. That's one of those, I'm afraid. You've got the hammer and you're winning by 3. You don't want to be creating centre guards. Not a good result. Gives the Schaffhausen team a little bit of hope here. They can now get top of the blue circle. Niklas Stoll, number 2 for Schaffhausen, being asked for an intern top 4 draw.
Ich zweite schlimm, wenn wir es vor 8 wären.
Ja, voll.
Wäre gar nicht schlimm.
Wenn dann Febe ist noch weit weg.
Das macht es ihm nicht einfach.
Needs to curl, but the length is pretty good.
8 plus pro Spiel ist
Hard!
They've underswept it a little bit. They could have been on that a little bit earlier, but it's
Also weißt du, mit dem Cello, oder?
pretty good result. And now we'll see the Destruction Derby at the front here. Hit 3/4 of that yellow, and maybe all 4 rocks will go. The 3 guards and the shooter, I mean.
Ja, ja, ich will über den.
Ich kann sie nicht auf viel Girl hier.
Ja. Genau.
Alles gut, dann.
Yep. Wow. Wow.
Good effort.
Wollen wir das noch berühren?
Touched the red, but not enough. A couple of millimeters more, and those 2 rocks were gone as well.
Oder guard there.
Now the discussion, draw in or one more guard. I think a hogline guard would serve them well. Looks like they're going in. If you do go in, you want to freeze vertically the yellow that's touching the 4 foot.
Richtig gut.
4 and a 4, so it's top 4 foot.
Richtig gut.
Looking very nice for a freeze here.
Whoa.
Needs to be perfectly welded onto this yellow.
Hard.
No space. It's overcurled just a hair on them.
Okay, so.
Not bad.
Einfach die 2.
And now Yannick's going to have another bash at these 2. These are the 2 that almost went the last time, but now he's going to try and remove both, and he's going to try and roll away as well. Open up the centre. He's got the hammer. He doesn't want anything lying around there.
Nein.
A hair on the wide side this time, just going to get the red. So Team Schwaller
Guard 2.
giving their opponents a little bit of a chance here.
Voor them eigentlich.
2 half misses. I think that's a good call. Nice and long, Andren. would love to just play above the WCT logo there, right on the center line. Make any double as hard as possible.
Und es wäre so wichtig, dass wenigstens das linke offen wäre.
Ja, voll.
Richtig gut!
As we see Oliver Widmer, number 3rd on this team, being asked to play an intern centre guard. Nice and close to the hog line would be good. There is the hog line, so just a little hair onto the centre line.
Schön, Oli.
Perfect.
Recht überrascht gewesen, dass gefunden hat, ich sollte noch ein bisschen
Perfect positioning from Team Schaffhausen, and there you see the task ahead for the Bern team.
Alles holen ist dünn 2/3.
Aber er wird noch
So, musst du ihn hier haben, oder?
Also, Hauptsache er wird noch in Berlin erwischen, also auch ja nicht ganz abdeckt.
So now the goal is to hit the right side as we look of this top yellow, come across the top of the other yellow and drive that into the 2 yellows in the circles. So this will be a solid takeout weight, I'm guessing. Very nice. Very nicely played. 3 of the 4 yellows have gone, and more importantly, the centre's now open. So we've gone from a situation where Schnider was trying to steal one and possibly would steal one. Now the best he can hope for is a force, which means he's going to make Schwaller score a point and get the hammer back for the next end. Here we see the replay of the triple. Couldn't do much better than that, so very well played. And as you see, all the front cover now gone, so the risk of a steal is gone. So the best Schnider can do now is just force the single. Needs to be in the rings, level with that yellow. Safely into second shot position, which it is. Very nicely played. Has to be level, because if you leave it a little bit higher, then potential double is there. Even though the double's not there, I think we'll see Yannick try and roll towards the yellow. To there. Make it as hard as possible for the opponent to cleanly remove this red stone once it's been played.
Ich finde, es ist ein bisschen optimal gelegen.
Ja, das ist schon, aber ich meine, es ist 2-3 Millimeter.
Ja gut, das ist ja vorher einfach Zufall irgendwie.
Aber es gut gespielt hat.
Ja, ja.
Es ist immer viel, was macht.
Hat jeder Run nicht irgendwie im Moment.
Quite a bit of banter between these teams. Both are Swiss-German speaking. As we see Michael Brunner being asked to hit this yellow and roll towards the other one. Would like to be behind it a little bit. And now you see the problem for Schnider. He's got to hit that red, but he's got to roll away from it. If he stays on the nose, then he's going to leave a really easy double takeout. So he's got 2 things to deal with here. He's got to remove it, and he's got to try and roll away to somewhere where the broom of his 3rd player is right now would be ideal.
11 is heaven.
First things first though, remove it and stay in the rings.
Oder einfach die Nase. Ja, nur so ein kleines Ding. Ja, man schnell spielt fertig. Nachdem es bis irgendwie schon erledigt ist. So nach einem Vorschuss gehen.
So Andrin Schnider with his first rock of this 5th end. Controlled weight, chip and roll left as we look.
Auch noch gerade.
Ich sehe nicht.
Okay.
Doch, doch.
Also im Lang.
Der ist besser, ja.
Ah, ja, ja.
Aber wir können das spielen, das sollte sonst durchgehen, sage ich.
Ja. Und mit Nase wollen wir zwei liegen.
Wohl langsam.
Ist der andere.
Ja. Würdet ihr Doppel spielen?
Mega komisch.
3 liegen oder Nase 2 liegen?
Ich habe gemeint, ich habe gemeint, du sagst, ich sage das.
Also, Drittel. Halbe sind wir oben durch so, ohne dass wir da etwas rausnehmen.
Okay.
Ja.
Also wir haben schon noch viel Winkel.
Ich habe natürlich wollen, dass er jetzt noch ein bisschen mehr gehört als...
Hier haben wir auch viel Winkel.
Ja. Und
Das Schlechteste ist echt so 2 Drittel.
ja, wenn wir oben
Nicht so gut
über-
gewesen,
Aber
ja.
sobald man eigentlich das, dann machen sie mir auch schon wieder gut.
Ja.
Schwaller's leading by 4-1, so he doesn't really worry if his shooter doesn't stay here. He would love to see both yellows go,
Also das ist, weißt du, das ist 5.
Ja.
Ja, das wäre schon fast.
preferably without touching either of his back reds.
Aber ist es so schlimm? Er hat mich gefunden, er läuft gut.
Nein, komm, ich gehe auf den Doppel.
Probieren.
Ja, ja.
Auf dem
From his perspective, even a blank end here is perfectly good result, so he just wants to see these yellows go.
Ja.
Ja.
So he's going to try and hit about a third of that yellow on the right, roll over, hit the other yellow,
Der Oli hat 11-1 gehabt.
Da hast du nicht viel gemacht, oder?
and hopefully from
Das-
his perspective miss
Ja,
the
vom-
red
vom
contact
Girl
at the
her schon, aber
back.
Vom Tempo, das ist ja Backline gewesen.
So Yannick Schwaller, his first rock of this fifth end. Up weight double.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yep, yep, yep. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Sounds to be in the right spot. Oh, he's just going to nose. Okay. Not sure if that was plan B.
Dat Risiko.
Pretty good. Line 2.
Entweder der Fritz oder der Rolf.
Looks like he went off the idea of the double, just decided to nose that because basically there's no double back for Schnider, so
Ich will. Bringt die
Hast du
erst
auch
nie
gut
aus.
this could be
Ja, tipptopp.
curtains if it goes wrong. He's got to somehow get in behind that red there
Ja.
and lie shot,
Das schon.
and then hope that Yannick Schwaller can't chip him out.
Ah, nein, nein, das ist wirklich fair.
Nehmen wir noch den Girlwischen, oder?
Gut.
Not sure what's going on here.
Ja, weißt du, wir müssen es auch sehen, wenn noch gut gespielt ist. Aber einfach sie es nicht.
This ice would suggest either a freeze on the back red,
Ja, voll. Ich habe mir, wo du raus bist, habe ich mir gedacht,
Ja. Ja, ich glaube, das 4 hockt ein bisschen am Schluss. Das kann schon sein.
normal.
Ist gut.
so Andren
Kann niemand ziehen.
looking to freeze the back red here.
Sehr gut.
Linie ist sehr gut. Bis hinten 4. Zieh hart. Zieh, Oli, zieh hart.
Richtig, sehr gut. Kommt!
Hart.
Unfortunately for him, he's not going to be shot position,
Ja, man sicher genug hat.
and unfortunately now he's got a.
Die gleich wie im ersten.
Heftig.
He's probably going to give up 2 or possibly a 3,
Schön durch die Hand durch.
which may well be the end of this game.
Doppelsteg können wir da schon noch haben, dann sonst.
Okay. Ich hätte nie
Wichtig
gedacht,
Pause.
dass das gut ist. 96 und normal.
Kannst du mir ein bisschen weniger noch nicht das Gefühl, kannst du schon. Okay, nicht, dass
Definitiv.
wir völlig im Frost draussen sind.
Choosing
weisst.
not to draw
Gut.
for 3.
Ich glaube, es würde auch ein bisschen einfach weiterspielen.
Ah, Jol.
Yannick Schwaller, last rock of the fifth end, possibly the last end, is now playing an open draw for 3, which is what I would have expected.
Klein nicht sicher mal. Klein nicht. Wow, 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 wow. Kannst weg, kannst weg, kannst weg. Kannst weg, so lange. Ist gut. Ja, aber.
Very nicely done, and that puts him into
Ich will noch eins spielen.
a 7-1 lead here. Schaffhausen probably will just play on to get a couple of ends more under their belt, because this is the first game of their tournament, so they need to keep going for a little while and pick up the ice, set themselves up better for their second game of their group. If you've just joined us, we are live from the Palladium de Champéry in Champéry, Switzerland. This is the 10th year of the Curling Masters Champéry, a World Curling Tour event. In the commentary box this morning, Brian Gray. And coming up very shortly, in just under 2 hours, we will have Lorna Rettig from England and myself commenting on the game Van Dorp against De Cruz, which promises to be a interesting game of curling. Both teams there vying for the final, I would suggest. So do join us then, 12:30 Central European Time, just under 2 hours from now.
Richtig gut, Rolli. Richtig ist gut, bis 2.
Was willst du spielen, Janet? Was? Willst du so spielen?
Das Spiel ist kurz.
Probierst. Migu, sagst du mir härter?
Schöne.
Hast du plus 2?
Yeah, they didn't give up. I would have. So you're leading.
Just a little update on the other games on the ice this morning. I can tell you that Edin has seen off Switzerland's Hess. The score on the scoreboard is 7-0 after 5, and they've left the ice, so that game's been over pretty quickly. On sheet B, we have Jungen against Hösli. Jungen leading by 3 points to 1 in the 6th, Hösli with hammer. Then our feature game, Schwaller against Schnider, is 7-1 for Team Schwaller. And on sheet D, we have Klossner against Heinemann. They are also in the 6th end, and the score there is 4-3 for Klossner, and Klossner has the hammer.
Okay.
So these ends may be a little bit academic. 7-1 is just normally too much to come back from, but nonetheless, it's a good opportunity for these teams to continue making some shots and getting themselves ready for their next game in their group. But realistically, 7-1 at this level is unassailable.
Tipptopp, ist gut. Perfekt. Weg. Ist gut, ist gut. Gut gesehen, Janet.
As we see Romano Meyer draw nicely to the top of the 4-foot circle. And now we see Skip Schnider is going to remove that red, I think, or perhaps just draw around the corners.
Richtig gut. Richtig gut.
Straight draw around this
Richtig gut.
left-hand yellow corner guard. Would like to fully hide somewhere where Andron's feet are, somewhere in there. Very nice.
Ja, Gott ist gar nicht im Weg. Baby roll in van die dag, cool.
Some of these teams won't play on this arena ice very often. In fact, some teams will have never played on arena ice like this, and it is very different from the curling halls. Armin Harder and his colleagues here have made a really nice job as usual. It's a nice big curl, and the big difference here, you need to give it about 5 turns, 5 rotations of the rock. If you play normal curling club style here, then the rock's just going to go sideways. You can see that rock there had a lot of turn on it. And some of these rocks are pretty much brand new, so they have a little bit of an edge on them, like to curl. And we see a rare miss from Team Schwaller, which is letting Team Schnider, giving them a little bit of hope here. Draw around the right side corner guard and little chance of a 2 or 3. Seems to be very nice direction and length. Now, I said a moment ago the lead was unassailable, but it's time for Schwaller's teams to make some shots now. You wouldn't want to lose 3 from a situation like this, so time to start making contact. Both rocks pretty well hidden, so now board weight here is fine, but doesn't want to do what they did the last time, which is miss everything. If you're going to throw board here, make sure at least that if you don't get the shot, that you get the guard. Because here now they have exactly the same problem as they had before. So 10 seconds, hog to hog. He's going to come down, try and hit a quarter of this yellow and roll either on top of the red or possibly towards the other yellow. 10 seconds is like a solid board. Needs to curl. Would love to have rolled towards the yellow there. Not bad, but it's still looking like 2. And what's worse for Schwaller is that yellow's still completely hidden, so if Schaffhausen can fully bury again behind this right side yellow, then the pressure will mount a little bit. Immediately out of his hand, swept. Must have been a little bit of a soft release. It's real close to this corner guard. Really sweeping hard to get past. But unfortunately he's crashed that one, and worse still, he's actually opened up the... Worse still, he's actually closed up the red in the middle, so... Unfortunately, any thoughts of a 3 have probably just evaporated.
Von mir aus kannst du gut probieren. Kannst du einfach da anlegen, ist mir auch gleich. Nein, ich will eher nach vorne, dass wir nachher... Das da 4-5 da innen. Ist gut.
Talking about possibly drawing in there, but at 7-1 there's no real reason to. Just rip this guard off and roll away. And then remove the yellow with the next shot, the yellow in the rings. Mustn't be outside, he says. If he's outside, it would come onto his own red in the forefoot, which would be rather catastrophic. So got to hit the right side as we look. Roll towards the center or roll completely out, doesn't matter. But doesn't want to be wide here.
Yep. Oh, yep.
So Michael Brunner. And that's even better, so very nicely played. So last chance saloon for Team Schnider here. Need to try and freeze one in. Give themselves a small chance of 2 or 3 as we see this lovely run back double here from Michael Brunner. Makes it perfectly well skipped. Got to be happy with that. Kills any chance of a 3, but there's still a small chance of 2 here. With a couple of nice stones from these guys. Working really hard, these two. Once again, just ticking this guard.
Okay. Goed gewischt.
I'm sure they'll be a little bit frustrated. The scoreline certainly doesn't represent the two teams. They've been a lot closer than the scoreline suggests, but just at the wrong time they've been a little bit too tight on the guards, or earlier in the game a chip for 2 or 3 which was wide completely. But that's all part of the learning for these young teams. Going back and watching the game maybe and seeing where the game turned for the opposition in this case. So Yannick Schwaller, first stone of the 6th end. Open hit on this yellow in the circles.
Freeze.
Ja, deine beide jetzt nicht schlecht gehabt. Ein bisschen mehr gemacht als dann.
Da habe ich nicht gut gehabt jetzt.
Leicht auf der Innenseite.
Zwei jetzt schon.
Ja, voll. So kommt genau so raus, glaube ich.
Hä? Freeze.
Das tut schon lange halb gedauert. Da würde ich nicht mehr zwischen. Da würde ich schon lange gewesen.
Ist 85. 80. Okay.
Andren Schnider with his first stone of the 6th end. Looking to get as close to this red as possible. Give himself a small chance of a 2. But he's 7-1 down, so it's probably not going to help too much. But he would like to finish nicely in this game with a couple of nice shots, I'm sure. And this is looking really nice. Perfect curling shot. So Yannick can guard that and block the tap. And then there'll be no real chance of a 2 for Team Schaffhausen.
So habe ich erwartet, dass alle reingehen.
Just discussing there the curl off the ice, how they were a little bit caught out with Oliver Woodmer's last stone there, over curling onto the guard. So Yannick's just going to block this up, make it as hard as possible to score 2. There is a raise on the centre guard for 2, so it would be good to just tuck behind a little bit. He hasn't done that, so I think there's still space for 2. It's not easy, but I would have been sweeping that red guard another half a metre, and then this shot wouldn't have been possible. But it's there, as he said, it's definitely there. A little bit slack from the Schwaller team, just needed to sweep that red rock 30 centimetres more, and this shot was not possible. So yellow, yellow, red. Won't be fast, can't be fast, needs to be very controlled, I think. And with a little bit of luck, both yellows will stay in the circles. But it's going to need a little bit of luck. The angles are against you here, so need to push the yellow just past the red. Miss that red guard by 1 centimetre. All the way back onto the yellow, and then hope that the 2 yellow shooters stick. And you get your 2 points, which would be a nice finish, I would say.
Was ich glaube noch ein bisschen nicht. Findest du Phillies? Ich finde es ähnlich ein wenig. Aber die Garde ist ein bisschen weiter vorne. Ist gut so.
Needs to be just a centimetre off nose. Controlled weight. This cannot be fast because the yellows are tending to run out of the rings. Yep, good weight, like it. Needs to curl. Needs to curl. Oh, unlucky. So one more for Schwaller, takes the score to 8-1 after 6, and that will be handshakes for this morning. Hope you're enjoying the coverage here, live from Champéry. My name is Brian Gray, and it's been a pleasure to commentate this morning. That was the first round of the B group. Yannick Schwaller 8, Andren Schnider 1. So well done to those guys. So we're going to leave you for now. We're back in exactly 1.5 hours from now. Just a little bit over 1.5 hours. We'll be back with the second game of the championships, second round of the championships, and that's going to be a real good game. It's Van Dorp of the Netherlands playing against Peter De Cruz, the on-form team from Switzerland. Peter De Cruz picking up wins in Adelboden and Basel, so he's going to be the favourite for that game. But Van Dorp is the current champion, so please do come back and see us in just a little bit over an hour and a half. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.